How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation. I hope you're having a great weekend so far, playing a bunch of video games right now because I am deeply addicted to V Rising right now. This game is awesome. It's an open world survival crafting RPG where you play as a vampire, but the cool twist is it has Diablo style combat and open world boss fights, and one of them is Simon Belmont from Castlevania. So I'm very excited about this game. I have been playing it on my Steam Deck. It's coming to PlayStation 5, if not now, very soon. So put this game on your radar because, again, it is absolutely awesome. In today's video, I've got three great topics as always for you guys. The first one is that the PlayStation 5 showcase might have just been leaked by DJ Academics. I think that's how you say it, or like this Kendrick Lamar Drake beef kind of like leaked the next PlayStation 5 showcase, which is bizarre. The second news story is all about the latest PS5 update where people are saying it's not good enough and they're actually demanding specific features that I agree with. And then finally, I've got a physical game update for you guys. I got two new games in the mix. I'm excited to talk about them. Hey, real quick before I jump into this story, it turns out that the first part of it about Kendrick and everything was a massive troll. It was actually someone named Radic from the Last Stand Media community who started all of this, but that was just the hook. And then I talk about all the games that are going to be at the showcase. So I'm leaving the story in. Just ignore the stupid part where everyone got trolled thinking it was DJ Academics who leaked the showcase. I gotta be real, I thought it was kind of weird when I saw the news story, but yeah, no one's updated their news stories anywhere. I will be the only one. This video is sponsored by Scry. I've talked about Scry here on the channel a few times, and that's because I really like their Scry Arctic cooler. If you've been watching my videos, you've heard the two major stories about the PS5 overheating. The first one had to do with Final Fantasy 16 and one specific boss that would hard crash people's PS5s because it overheated. And then at the EVO 2023 gaming tournament, the USB ports on the PS5s were getting so hot that when people would pull out their fighting sticks USB cords, the actual like housing for the USB port would come out with them. I'm sure you've seen a bunch of different coolers all over Amazon and wherever else before, but the difference between those ones and Scry's is that Scry's takes the hot air out of your PS5, whereas they shove cold air in, which really does nothing. Using those other coolers will also bring you back to the days of the PlayStation 4 when it sounded like you were turning on an aircraft carrier on your TV stand, whereas the Scry cooler is basically silent. And another cool feature is that even though it plugs into the USB port on the back of your PS5, it also has its own super speed port, so you're not losing any connectivity. And they really did think of everything. Like if you're playing a PS4 game that doesn't need max cooling power or anything like that, you can just turn off the USB port on the back of your console through the settings, and that will just turn off the Scry cooler. So you don't have to unplug it every time you don't want to use it. The Scry Arctic cooler is available for $44.90 right now, but if you use my code PSR30 at checkout or click the link in the description, you'll get an additional discount, which is awesome. And if you want to add a little bit more color to the back of your PS5, they also have a special edition Spider-Man version, which comes in a really cool red. Once again, huge shout out to Scry for sponsoring this video. So let's jump into this first news story here. Look, we know a PlayStation 5 showcase is coming. The last one happened on May 24th of last year. It's been a long time since we've heard from Sony. I mean, even when you're talking about state of plays, it's been months since we've had any updates from them. We have no idea what the first party slate is going into the last half of 2024 and the rest of the PlayStation 5 generation. Like clearly Sony is cooking something and we're going to hear about it. We've heard rumors about it from Jeff Grubb saying it was going to potentially happen within the next week. And then this latest leak kind of added credence to it, but it's coming from a really weird source. So while I was out of town last weekend, there was this whole like diss track back and forth between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. I looked into it enough to understand the memes and they are funny. It's just like, I don't listen to their music. I'm a country fan and I like emo music because I have terrible taste. So not really the controversy that I was really diving into over the weekend, but through all of this, DJ Academics put up an Instagram post that he's now deleted that says, sources are telling me that Kendrick can't drop until the PlayStation Showcase airs next week due to a marketing deal with Sony. And of course, it's unclear if he deleted the post because the info was inaccurate or if Sony was like, hey, dumbass, we didn't announce that yet. What are you doing? But yeah, with all these leaks and rumors, I'm assuming that that was probably real and that we hopefully have a PlayStation 5 showcase in the next week. I'll probably, if it is announced by Friday, put in a little cut in before this video. So if you saw future me, hey future me, that's what I was announcing. But yeah, in terms of what we can expect at this showcase, there's a lot of studios that need to update us. The first big thing that I'm the most excited for is Resident Evil 9. Dusk Golem is like the leaker who can't be stopped when it comes to Capcom. This dude is right on pretty much everything he leaks. And what he's reporting is that Resident Evil 9 is going to release in January of 2025. That makes a lot of sense. Resident Evil games, for some reason, favor the earlier half of the year instead of Halloween. I guess it's because it's not the biggest franchise in the world and they don't want to go up against stuff like Call of Duty or whatever. But, you know, I want to play Resident Evil games around Halloween, so I wish they would shift that. In terms of what the game is, it's allegedly going to be taking place on an island and it's going to be open world, which I am of two minds on. I like open world games. I play a lot of them, but Resident Evil for me this generation was defined by a more linear style of game. I liked where they got to with Resident Evil Village, where there was a hub world that kind of broke off into individual like linear levels. I thought that was great and they were all different and unique and everything like that. But a full open world, I just hope they can keep the bar of quality as high as it's been in Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 4 Remake, 7, and Village. Like, they set a really high bar. And in terms of the story, I think I heard that you're going to be playing as Claire and Jill, who is forever hot in the Resident Evil universe because she got injected with the T-virus. So Chris is going to look like he did in Village and Jill's going to look like she did in Resident Evil 3. And it's being seen as kind of like an ending and a beginning for the franchise, which makes sense since it's an open world game. I'm excited about it. Like you guys know, Resident Evil is my favorite series. I'll play anything in it. I like that setup in Village. I just wasn't so hot on the overall story and just like how not scary it was compared to Resident Evil 7. So hopefully they take my feedback this time instead of the babies who don't want to be scared in a game called Resident Evil and make Resident Evil 9 scary. We also know that Cory Barlog's next game is probably going to be revealed. He's been kind of like dropping hints about it and tweeting about it left and right, you know, if you know where to look. It's supposedly going to be a space game, and this is coming from the studio that made God of War and God of War Ragnarok and all the other God of Wars, so I'm actually pretty excited about this. There's also a God of War 3 in the works. It would be cool to kind of get a tease for that. We know that Naughty Dog is working simultaneously on 2 games right now. One of them is a new IP and one of them is The Last of Us Part 3. I would guess we'll get the new IP announced before The Last of Us, but I would at the very least like a tease for The Last of Us Part 3, especially with season 2 of the show filming right now, pretty much being done filming. It's going to come out within the next year. You know, you kind of want to get that corporate synergy. We'll probably get some PC release dates like Gran Turismo 7, I think is next on the list, which is exciting. Ben's studio has been working on a live service game ever since Days Gone, which came out in 2018. So it's been quite a long time since we've heard from them. I'd fully expect to hear what they're working on next. Ghost of Tsushima coming out on PC. I feel like that's just a hint that whatever Sucker Punch is working on will probably be announced. I would just put, if I was in Vegas, right, and I was at the roulette table and there was a little roulette square that said Ghost of Tsushima 2 is Sucker Punch's next game, I'd put all my money. I'd bet my house against that just because that game was extremely successful and the story is good enough and sets up a new sequel in that series. Through the Insomniac leak, we know we're getting a Venom game, and traditionally those come out pretty quickly after the first game. So like we got Spider-Man in 2018 and then in 2020 we got Spider-Man Miles Morales. Insomniac's pretty quick though, so I think we could see this announced. At the very least, I think we'll get some new gameplay from Wolverine because once again that leaked, so it'd be nice for Sony to kind of support us with some new footage from the game. I'm sure there will be a lot of third-party updates, and of course I'm crossing my fingers that we get the PlayStation 5 Pro announced. I mean, you don't really have a better time to do it than when you're announcing a bunch of really big games that are exclusive to PlayStation 5, and then you can say, look how much better they look and run on the PS5 Pro, right? And all the specs are out there, so it just makes a lot of sense for the PS5 Pro to finally be announced. The coolest thing about this is it's not really leaks or rumors anymore. It's an if not when situation. We know a showcase is coming. The timing is lining up too perfectly. We've seen all these leaks from Jeff Grubb. We've now got leaks from DJ Academics. Just a weird way to kind of deliver that news story, if you ask me. But I'm happy about it nonetheless, because the more confirmation we get, the more excited I get for this showcase. Second on the list here, let's talk about PS5 updates. So we just got one that added in a kind of cool feature where it's going to record your gameplay and upload that to a community hub. So if you ever get stuck in something like Stellar Blade, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, when you're fighting the Titans or something like that, you'll just go to the community hub and you'll be able to see someone else with their game footage beating that part of the game. So objectively, a pretty cool feature that keeps you on the console longer, right? Like everything is in service of engagement now. Sony doesn't want you turning off your PS5. So if you're able to look up help on a part you can't beat, you're more likely to keep playing the game, which keeps you on your PlayStation 5. But people have kind of reached a breaking point with this one, where there are features that we want on the PlayStation 5 that aren't there yet. And it seems like Sony is prioritizing features that, while cool, no one really cares about all that much. So there are a lot of big things people were asking for in the comments of the latest PlayStation blog post about this update. The first one being themes. Like, I just don't understand why the PlayStation 5 still doesn't have themes. Every console that Sony has released since the PSP has had themes in some fashion. We had them on the PSP, we had them on the PS3, we had them on the PS Vita, we had them on the PS4. The PS Vita had the weirdest operating system of all time. It was like touch oriented and filled with bubbles, and even they were able to get themes running on that thing that changed not only the background but also the color of the bubbles and the music on the console. So as far as I'm concerned, there's really no excuse for us not to have themes at this point in time on the PlayStation 5. Like, it's gotten to the point where people who jailbreak their PlayStation 5 are able to download custom themes off the internet and install them on their console. I just saw one over the weekend on Twitter that someone made around Stellar Blade, and it looks great. So where the are themes on the PlayStation 5, Sony? The next thing people really want that I agree with is native emulation of the PlayStation 3. That is one of my favorite consoles ever. It's in my top 5 for sure. I played so many of my favorite franchises back in the day on that thing, whether it's Metal Gear Solid all the way up to stuff like Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, even not Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 was PS4. Uncharted, the whole trilogy, and then Uncharted 4 on the PlayStation 4 was amazing. Infamous 1 and 2 were so good. Resistance 2 and 3 were amazing. The list goes on and on of amazing games, and just like the fact that the best way to play them is on my 4090 PC right now is abysmal. Sony needs to figure this out and get us emulation of PlayStation 3 games on the console. It's long past overdue, and I hope that this is not a PS5 Pro exclusive feature. Like, if they release this emulation and start selling the games on the store again and they make it exclusive to the PS5 Pro, that would leave a pretty bad taste in my mouth. But if that's what I got to deal with, I guess I'll deal with it because, I'm buying a PS5 Pro day one. The other thing people want back is avatars, and I was like, what are you talking about? They got rid of avatars, and it looks like they actually did. I know there's a way to see them. Like, when you're messaging people on the PlayStation Network, like on my phone or on the actual PS5 itself, if they don't have the close friends thing turned on where you have a profile picture and everything like that pulls from your Facebook or your Twitter, you'll see their avatar, but I guess there's no real way to buy them or interact with them on the PlayStation 5 itself, which, yes, is very weird. The next thing is absolutely crazy that there's no way to do this, but people want to be able to interact with PlayStation stars on console, which I understand. I feel like a big reason why myself and so many other people don't realize that when you buy digital games, you get points that can be redeemed to get PlayStation Store credit is because it's all only interactable with the PlayStation app on your phone. And look, before I added all of you guys on the PlayStation Network and I started getting messages all the time, I was not using the PS5 app all that much on my phone. The most I would really use it for would be to buy games on the PlayStation Store when I was out or working or doing something and I didn't want to go turn on my PlayStation 5 and then just start the games downloading from wherever the hell I was. It's just weird because even when they had a console that no one really cared about with the PlayStation Vita, the updates came a lot faster and had a lot more features included with them. So I just don't know why they're dragging their feet on basic things like themes, avatars, and other stuff people want, like being able to interact with the rewards program that you kind of automatically opt into by having a PlayStation account in the first place. Anyway, that brings us to the third topic of today's story, which is my physical game update. I mentioned that I bought these on eBay in a couple of videos, so if you missed those, sorry you didn't get the teaser on this one. But with the release of the Fallout show and the next gen update on PlayStation 5, I really wanted to go back and play some Fallout 4, and they don't have a PS5 physical edition. So I went and I checked out eBay and I was able to get a pretty much brand new PS4 copy of Fallout 4 for $5 with free shipping. Yes, it took a lot longer than it would on Amazon or Best Buy, but again, I paid $5 for a game I already own digitally, so I'm feeling like that's a little bit of a W there. And the coolest thing about it is whoever had this before me really took care of this case, and they left in the perk chart poster that I am going to frame and put up on my wall, and they even left in the Vault Dweller survival guide within the case of the game. This game also has reversible box art that you guys know I love that. I traditionally like to keep it just the normal box art, but the next game I'm going to talk about, I flipped it. In Fallout 4, it's my favorite image from the game, which is the Vault Dweller with dog meat in front of the Red Rocket gas station. You can't really beat it. It's just great iconography and great art. I've had a little bit of time to mess around with the next gen update so far, and I think it's pretty good. Arguably the best place to play it is on PlayStation 5 because not only does it look and run better than the Xbox Series X, there's less mods that broke with the update on PlayStation 5 because of Sony's weird rule around having mods that change too much in the game. So yeah, if you want want to play Fallout 4, you want to take advantage of the next gen update, don't buy the game digitally, buy it physically on eBay, wait a week or two for it to show up, and hopefully yours has the Vault-Tec poster as well, because that was just a nice little bonus that I got within this case. And the second game I picked up is a Fallout game. I picked up Fallout 76 on disc. I saw the interviews with Phil Spencer recently where he was like, why doesn't Fallout 76 have save transferring? And it's like, I don't know, dude, you own Xbox, so like why are you asking questions that you should have the answer to? That kind of felt like a hint though that we were going to get cross save, cross progression or whatever with Fallout 76, and my big save is on PC, so I kind of want to prepare for that eventual release date with a copy on PlayStation 4. I was able to find the Tricentennial Edition, which unfortunately was a GameStop exclusive, and the reason I say unfortunately is this fucking GameStop logo is permanent, this like console like whatever exclusive thing. It feels like, it makes it feel like one of those cases for a used game that GameStop would like print off a computer, but I was happy to find that it does have the reversible box art that says 1776 to 2076. You guys know I love American iconography. That's a big reason why I love the Fallout franchise as a whole. So yeah, this was like a blind spot for me. And just like with Fallout 4, it comes with everything. So I got the Tricentennial Edition game code. I was able to redeem it, which is cool. I got the game instruction booklet, which has the 3 vault guys coming out of the vault to signify that this is a multiplayer game. And then finally, the coolest thing that came with it is a sticker of the 3 vault guys, and it's still in here. I'm going to probably put it on my iPad Pro or my laptop or something like that. So once again, despite the fact that I bought this game for like $2.99 and it was listed as new, it took 3 weeks to ship and took even longer to get to me, I was able to get a good deal on a game I already own digitally, and hopefully I'll be able to take advantage of this game on PlayStation 5 soon whenever Phil Spencer wakes up, realizes he owns Fallout 76, and implements crossplay and cross progression into the game. So yeah, that about covers it for my physical game update. Let me know what physical games you picked up down in the comments below. Remember to subscribe and set your notifications to all if you haven't already. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.